Most beginner photographers have no idea what a CPL filter is and will have no idea when to use it and why they need to use it. I used to kind of overlook filters and really think to myself, well, how much difference is a filter really going to make to my images? But once I started using a CPL regularly, especially for landscapes and daytime shoots, it became a must-have in my kit. So in this video, I'm going to cover what a CPL actually does, why I use one and what I use it for, when I reach for it and when I don't, and a few tips that'll help you get the most out of using a CPL filter. So first off, what is this CPL filter and what does it do? So this is a circular polarizer filter and it screws to the front of your lens. And unlike something like a UV filter, it's active. You can rotate it to change how it interacts with light. So what it's doing is actually filtering out certain light waves, particularly ones that provide reflections and glare. When light bounces off non-metallic surfaces like water, leaves, or glass, it scatters in different directions. A CPL cuts through that and helps you control the lighting in a more dynamic way. Put it simply, it's basically like putting sunglasses on your lens, but smarter. You're not just darkening the scene, you're actually enhancing the way it's captured. For average looking daylight shot, it adds a lot of contrast, saturation, and eliminates glare. And the cool part, as it is a circular polarizing filter, you can turn the filter and you'll see the effect live on your screen or your viewfinder. It's super satisfying when you find that sweet spot. Suddenly the water clears up, the sky deepens, and the image just snaps into place, especially for those midday shots. So let's talk about why I use a CPL filter. Now it's not on my lens all the time, but when it is, it's usually doing one or more of these things. The obvious one is cutting reflections out. If I'm shooting a lake, a window, or a wet road, or something with water in it, and I want to cut through those reflections, I'll use a CPL filter. A CPL lets me decide whether I want to see through that surface or reflect it. For example, if I'm shooting a mountain lake and I want to see the rocks under the water, the CPL removes the surface glare and gives me that clarity that I'm looking for. But sometimes I do want to see the mountains in the reflection of the water, and that's where the CPL really is the master of this. You just turn the CPL filter and it eliminates the light that you were cutting out, and all of a sudden the reflection is back in the image and you can see on top of the water, not just into it. It lets me fine tune exactly what I want to show up in the image. Number two is boosting contrast and controlling your sky. You know those really crisp contrast shots where the sky is a deep blue and the clouds just pop? That's a classic CPL look. It's especially helpful when shooting during the day when the sun is high and the light is a bit flat. A CPL filter makes your colors richer, makes the sky more dramatic, and gives a lot of punch to the whole of your image. Thirdly is enhancing colors, especially the greens. This one surprised me when I first started using CPLs because, like many other photographers, I hate the color green. On sunny days, leaves and grass really reflect a lot of light and it really makes for an unpleasant image. A CPL knocks down that glare and gives you a much more deeper natural green. It's perfect for forest scenes or jungle hikes or anything where the green is dominated in your image. However, on that, if you do opt for a cheaper CPL filter, it can portray colors incorrectly and add a shade of color to the whole of your image. This is a Canon Face CPL filter and it's the first filter in a very long time that I've owned where I'm actually happy with the colors it portrays in the image. It doesn't give me a color cast, it shows everything very natural. So let's go over when I reach for the CPL filter and when I leave it in my bag. I'd say about 50 to 60% of the time, if I'm shooting outdoors, I'll have this on the front of my lens, specifically if it's during the midday sun. But it's also useful in these situations. Harsh daylight when the sun's high and the glare is everywhere. Landscape photography, especially with water, rocks, or wide open skies, something like that. Forests or green spaces where I want to bring out those really earthy tones. If I'm ever shooting from a car or through a window or something like that, I'll always use a CPL filter to try and sort of hammer out those reflections. Basically, if I'm outside and I want the colors in my image to be more vibrant and add contrast, make things look a bit more natural in the image in a daylight shot, I'll have a CPL filter on. But there are very important times where I don't want it on the lens. So if I'm shooting ultra wide, like a 16mm or a 12mm, I will not put on a CPL filter, as sometimes it can make half the sky really dark but keep the other half really illuminated, and it sort of ruins the shot a lot. If I'm shooting golden hour or low light or anything like that, I'm not going to use a CPL filter. I want the maximum amount of light coming through my image, and I don't want it limited by a CPL filter. In saying that, if you are shooting at a sunset or something like that, and then you want to eliminate the reflection on the water, maybe a CPL filter would be a good option, but you'll have to lower your shutter speed, so you'll involve a tripod, and maybe it becomes a bit more complicated. But there are times you could use it in golden hour. And I won't use it if I want the reflections actually in my image. I'll just completely remove it from the my lens. And as promised, I'll give you some bonus tips for using a CPL filter as well to really get the most out of it. Number one is rotate your CPL filter while you're composing the shot. Watch your screen or go through the viewfinder as you twist the front of your ring, and you'll literally see the reflections disappear and the colors shift. The way you you are positioned to the sun really affects in how the CPL filter works. So what I normally do, if I change positions, I'll always rotate the front of the filter and make sure that I'm getting what I want in the image and what I don't want. Number 2 is try to avoid over polarizing. So sometimes when you're shooting in the middle of a day, you can be facing away from the sun, which really gives you a deep blue sky, and you can turn it too much and it really gives you that deep blue. Of course, if you want that, go for it, but just avoid over polarizing if you don't need it. Number 3 is a very important one, and that's watch your shutter speed. Remember, a CPL cuts light, so you might need to compensate by adjusting your shutter speed, aperture, or ISO to put more light onto your sensor. And finally, invest in a good quality CPL like this one from Kenton Faith. I really highly recommend it. It's true color and it really doesn't portray any color cast like some of the cheaper ones. It's also scratch resistant, provides really sharp images, and I can't recommend it enough. If you throw it in your bag and you worry about it getting scratched, you won't have to worry about this anymore because it is resistant. So if you're into landscape photography or travel photography or anything where you're outdoors, I really recommend getting your hands on a CPL filter for your lens. Make sure it is the correct size to match your lens, and they are really add a lot of depth to your photography. As always, thanks you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.